everybody, welcome. All right. Play a little music. All right, so today I've got a little project. We'll see how far we can get. I think it's reasonable that we could do this in a couple hours, so we'll see how the first hour goes. But let's talk about it. Hello, say hello, tell me where you're from. I know I've invited some friends here as well, so just say hi and chat if you can, it helps. Today we're gonna play with SQLite, we're gonna play with Astro, we're gonna play with Markdown, we're gonna play with all sorts of different cool kind of modern tech. And so, hey, what's going on, Default? So this is gonna be fun. And feel free to ask questions along the way. We're gonna sort of work out what needs to be done first. And then, let's see, let's make sure I got my screen here. So this is gonna be good. I've done a couple of things ahead of time so that we're not going through the boring pieces. But let's add to stream. And why don't we just put this guy over here. That should work for today. All right, so this is gonna be pretty simple and a little bit clever. So we're gonna do a little bit of local caching. So the idea is this is lazy.invim and it points to, oh, maybe I didn't get this fixed yet. LazyVim points to a repository, right? In this case, it's a website. But for the sake of this video, let's pick a better one. How about LazyGit? So LazyGit is a project by Jesse, and it's got 37,000 stars, and this is what it is. There's even some tags. And what I want to do is I want to create some sort of, let's see, Notion GitHub embed. I know some people have done this. We want to create some sort of visual tool like this, so we can show maybe the user's icon. We'll definitely show a GitHub icon. We'll show the name of the project. I really like the images that are like the preview images that GitHub auto generates. So maybe we could create something kind of like that. Let's see, OG. Open graph. All right, here we go. I can just show you GitHub like this, right? So I'll play around with the format. We'll play around with, I guess, how it looks at the end of it all. But we got to do two things first. First, we got to pull the GitHub repo information into my SQLite database, because what I want to do is I just want to cache bust it so that we can, every time we rebuild, we can just pull from the SQLite data rather than having to fetch from the GitHub API over and over and over. And then second, we'll create an Astro component that lets me pass in a repository, and it will like visually embed a GitHub like repo preview on the blog post. And we'll be able to place this in with MDX, which is like a improved version of Markdown that lets you add components. So we'll start with the schema. I want to create a GhRepo, and let's see, ID. I can auto increment for now, repo, let's see, repo name. And then star gazers, I think it's count. I got my little ChatGPT here. Something like this. Stargazers count. Sure. Defaults to 0. All right, so that's step 1. And we'll want to, what is it? I am still a long ways away from Prisma generate. Let's just go to Prisma. We initialize it, then we do a migration. So we'll add GhRepo. All right, and I think I already have a icon, so we'll be able to reuse that. I am using Tailwind, so we'll style this with Tailwind. And for now, this is lazy git. Let's open up our blog post. Here's the actual item. And this is going to look something like this. GhRepo, repo equals, and we'll grab Jesse. I think that's all I want. And so this doesn't exist yet, so we'll have to add it. But we will, in our components, create one called GhRepo.astro. And let's see, that should be it. Import GhRepo from components, GhRepo.astro, and let's just kind of do a simple sanity check. We want what? We want props. I want to make sure I get this right. So here's our props, repo, and we will echo repo. All right, so that's kind of step 1. The real question is this going to work? I think I have to restart all this. We want to make sure it finds the component. And I need to, do I need to export it? I think I need to export it. I know I need to define the props, which we'll do. Repo is a string. All right, is there possibly a typo? I don't know. GhRepo, oh, maybe it's a default export. Yeah. So step 1, wow, we're almost halfway done, right? Not really. Yeah. So this was Astro's components are exported to the default namespace. So for those that aren't familiar with that, when you export something explicitly, it ends up being on a named export. And so like function name, right? Something like that. But if it gets defaulted toward the if it gets exported to the default value, then we'll use this syntax without the curly braces. And so that's it. Now we'll do a little bit of Octo work here. And so I already kind of did some work ahead of time to figure this out. We're going to say I want to get this. And what I have to find out, and I haven't played around with this yet, is like, I guess on build, it's going to run all of the code to compile the page. And in that case, I think I just have to write this code once, and it will do its thing. So let's see how that goes. So I want to import Octo kit from Octo. So I already inserted this ahead of time. Let's put this guy above, and we're gonna get repo data, and we're gonna just give it a repo of string, and we're gonna auth this with process.m.gh token. So this work I've done ahead of time, so you guys don't have to see that. And then we're just gonna repo const. Let's see, how do I want to do this? So that's the repo. This is a horrible name. I don't recommend this name, but we'll find a better way to do this. We're going to take the repo and split. Yes, we're going to split like that. And so the owner will be repo split 0 and repo split 1. And I guess we'll just start doing it. So basically, I should be able to assign whatever values I want. Yeah, good question. Well, so this is all bad code, so let's not get too it doesn't get in my way. So Ian's asking a question which is worth wondering. I use NeoVim. For those that aren't aware already, this is NeoVim. I purposefully have my diagnostics show up in virtual lines. So see how like this is a virtual, let's actually make this bigger, why not? They're virtual lines. So let's just get rid of that. And so what that means is like code jumps around, lines jump around. Yes, it can be distracting, but I only found it distracting the first couple of days using this. And I really prefer it because I can read the whole message. If there are multiple errors on the same line, you can actually see every single piece of information that needs to be known about the error, all without having to do anything clever or highlighting anything. And so I really like this. I'm happy to share which one I use. LSP lines. So this is the package. And you know, feel free to experiment if you like it. I really like it. Well, let's get back to it. All right, so I want to get repo data, and then we're gonna call get repo data, repo. All of this goes away. I guess I have to. Do I have to do a dot then? Is this going to be typed? I'm not going to have any typing from this function. Returns a number. Yes, it returns a number, but it is typed. So let's just get rid of that. That's data. And now, can I like JSON stringify data? Let's see if this like blows up in my face. All right, so we don't have any data yet. Boom. So that's step one, but we want to cachify it. So I guess I'm gonna probably be better off description, full name. We got all these things to play with, right? So why don't we style it? So we're gonna create a little section and we will GitHub icon, and I can import it. Icon, let's just return that guy. And it's capital. All right, so there's my big old GitHub icon. Class width, I don't know, we'll go with a smaller width. And we want to display the repo name, which I could just leave as is, I guess. Data dot full name, sure. And then we decided we want stargazers. So for the sake of now, let's just do description. Look at Copilot go. Div data stargazer count. It already wanted to do that. Stargazer count. Sweet. All right, and so there are some things that we're gonna wanna do. We're gonna wanna make stargazing count way prettier looking. So this, you know, prettify, pretty stargazers count. Not the best name, but there's a number. And like, let's say I wanna, now do I. Oh, actually, I know how to do this. Let's just do in JavaScript. To local string should be enough. So let's add a star, and let's pretty stargazer count. Sure. All right, so now we're off to the races here. GitHub colors. Let's see what GitHub wants to give us. All right, so we've got like, I like these kind of off color. We got black, we got white. I'm trying to think of how we want to show this stuff off. Like, I feel like if there was a yellow in the branding, we could use it, but I guess not. So we can add a couple colors. Colors, let's say GH. No. And we can say, what do we want to say? Light, dark. Is this going to be their colors? I'm going to be impressed. No, that's not. All right, so let's use the right colors. And then I want to make, I guess I want to make the link their color as well. Why not? So link. Yeah, that's a good question. So default's asking while we're here, how do I center this? So some of you are coming from YouTube. I haven't made a video for it yet. It's coming, but I bought a new computer and I'm not using Yabai. So I didn't install it when I bought the new computer. And so Raycast offers some window extensions. So like windows. Here's window management, and here's all these different window management options. And so that is currently what I'm using. It's very simple. It's a simpler version of what we had before. So I have these two screens now. But in this case, I kind of like the underlaying. We could even center this guy if we wanted. I don't know, move it here. It's sort of behind it. But yeah, that's how I'm doing things now. So I have Option F and full screen, and Option Shift F to do almost full screen, and it works super, super well. Yeah, so you switched to Raycast too. I see someone else did that. So this almost feature is really great. Interesting question, yeah. I plan to make a new video soon about all the changes I've made. All right, so let's keep going here. We want to style it, so we'll do like class flex, and we will wrap all this in a div. Now I'm not getting auto formatting. I wonder if something is wrong. Yeah, so someone's saying in chat that like, yeah, how do you say your name? Is it Ian? Leanne? I'm trying to figure it out. I can't read it very well from here. Do I miss it? What I learned is that I really like stacking everything. So I stack all of my windows, all full screen, over one section. Okay, Ian, thanks. So that's what I'm doing now. Let's see, so we got space. I think I'm gonna do gap. So what's interesting, if those that didn't know, gap is a CSS prop that it used to not have super great, actually I wonder what it is like now. Can I use gap? How have we done here? I mean, I'm fairly happy with that. I did a project like 2 years ago now, and it was like, I couldn't use gap because the product owners, whoever, like, they didn't have support for it because they were using some old phone or something. But I think I'll be okay here. Time has passed, right? All right, so let's do BG, GH, link. Did I spell this link? Yes, I did. Light, link, dark. Okay, so I want light. Font. GH, dark. It's not font, it's text. All right. And let's just go ahead and I guess we'll just strongify it. Strong. Doesn't support flex gap. Doesn't deserve. Okay, you're funny. But here's the thing. You want your website to look good for everybody, right? I mean, generally, like I get that this maybe is a joke, but I do want everyone to have a decent experience with it. And so that's just something that it's something I'm gonna have to deal with. All right, so we're doing okay here. Let's probably make this a little bit bigger. So this will be text, I don't know, large. And we're definitely gonna do rounded. I think I have a default rounded value, so we're gonna do that, and we're gonna add some padding. And look at this, how cool is this? This only took us a few minutes to do. I probably will style it to, I don't know, I think I'd style it differently, but I digress. We'll get to that later. So the full URL should come to us through HTML URL. I don't know about that one. URL. Come on, autocomplete. Did I lose? So here's the thing, for those that are wondering. I don't think Astro and NeoVim are perfect buddies yet. I'm pretty sure, let's just see. There is a newer version, we might as well update it. I know my icons are a little out of date right now. So we'll update this and let's see if my auto format stuff works. Yeah, I mean, Copilot's just guessing HTML URL, that could be right. So let's get rid of that and let's GhRepo. And I don't know, LSP info. So we got Copilot, we got Tailwind, we got Emmet, we got Astro, we got null_ls. Ooh, null_ls is false. Maybe that's why? I don't know. I would like Prettier to be working on Astro files, just saying. So maybe I'll figure that out later. Target blank and rel. What do I need to do? Is it rel no op? I don't think that matters. So what really needs to happen is this guy is a paragraph and text gh_dark and underline. All right, let's do that. Well, I want like, I already have Prettier set up with Astro. So I want Astro to format. Like if this is out of indentation, I want to auto indent it, right? So that's the issue. Ooh, look at all this weirdness. Let's figure out why it's doing that. All right, so that's one. Oh, right. So, I don't know if anyone knows what's going on, but I do. All right, so there's this like, what is going on? Why would a paragraph have all this spacing? Why is there like things happening that I don't expect? And that's because the whole article is wrapped in the Tailwind Prose typography plugin. And so, yeah, see, look, it doesn't auto indent. If I hit save, nothing happens. I'm a keyboard wizard, and so I do things quickly, so it's formatting only because I'm telling it to format right now. But let's no prose. I think no prose is all I need. But I am not happy with that. Let's use the browser that I prefer. So this is my preferred browser. This is called Arc. I highly, highly, highly recommend you check out Arc if you haven't. We can get rid of that. This isn't great. Maybe we resize it a little. And so, check this out. There's a Tailwind Raycast plugin, so I can just say like pro typography. It got moved. Yes, I know it got moved. How do I invert it? Why is this so hard? Prose. So I want to specifically say to like not call any prose. Not prose. Okay, well, why did they do that? I feel like no prose would have been just fine. Not prose it is. And sure enough, that fixes my spacing problem. I think we'll do that. No, yeah, Arc hit 1.0 recently. That was super exciting. Let's see, let's get it nice and special. I can even make this guy shrink. Check this out. It's fixed, which I like this when it's a YouTube video, because some of my blog posts are YouTube videos. Pretty dope. Okay, so that didn't work, which means I'm gonna have to underline this guy. And I guess that looks pretty good. I don't know if the stargazing thing makes sense in that way. I also don't know, there's a lot of white space, so I was trying to think like, do I want to mess with that, or do I want to improve on that in any way? But I mean, we click on it and this is my HTML URL. So you were right. Who do I have to say they were right? Boom. So that works fine. So step one was kind of the easy part, right? I'm just gonna kind of recreate all this as HTML. No, I don't want to do this. All right, so first step is done. I'm not even gonna mess with that stuff yet. Let's just get rid of that, and let's just, this goes away. Feature, add new GhRepo Astro component. Sweet. Thanks, default. Yeah, so this is good, man. So now when I build, I don't want to have to give GitHub, I don't want GitHub to have to run every time I build. So I just, for the thought of, we're only a half an hour in, so we've got time. I want to store all of this in a SQL file, and that SQL file lives in the version control, so it just gets committed when I make changes, which you can see here, this DB journal, or this data DB file is just a SQL file. And so what we'll do is we'll save it, and we'll do some sort of cache mechanism. So let's do that. So I already migrated it for those that came in late. We have a GhRepo. I have an ID repo name stargazer count. I guess I'm going to need to add, if we've decided full name description stargazer count URL. So we got, well, let's open this up, schema, and let's split. All right, so I want like URL. Yeah. We never want the same URL used again. Stargazer count, repo name. Is this good enough? I guess we could say full name is unique. I don't think the ID is necessary, to be honest. Stargazer count and description, and we'll make it required, and it doesn't need to be unique. Well, I guess, are some of these not going to have descriptions? All right, so then we'll migrate, update GhRepo fields. So that's that. So now the trick is we just want to save this. So step one will be save it to Prisma, and then the second step will be fetch it from Prisma and only like update the data if the data is out of date, right? And I think I'm gonna go with like once a week or something, or once a day. Like, it doesn't really, like, if I rebuild multiple times, we just want some benefit and a sort of a proof of concept, because I want to show you guys later that we can run Prisma commands in the build steps, because I already tied this together with Netlify. So Netlify is my host, and in Netlify, I can run Prisma commands during the build, which is really cool. And so that's what we're going to do. So what makes sense to me is every time we call GhRepo.astro, every time this component's called, we will do those things. So let's just like name them out. Store GhRepo2, avoid refetching, check last time we fetched data, thank you, and then store GhRepo2 avoid refetching, and then use stored used cache values, something like that, right? So the repo is going to come in. We're going to have the value from the prop. Let's give that a little space. And we got to start by function add repo to cache. Sure. And this will just be an async function. And we're just going to call, boy, it's been a minute since I've done this. I have done Prisma before, Prisma client, and this is all we got to do. We just import this at the top, call the client once. I wonder if I do it globally, if it'll be cached. I know in a lot of cases, Prisma wants you to, on runtime, create one Prisma instance and then reuse it. So I don't know if this is the most efficient use of how Prisma wants things done. Maybe I have to create like a global Prisma thing that can be called by any of my components. So I don't really want to have to create new Prisma client every time that I call the GhRepo component, because it's going to fire off a lot of times during the build. So that's an optimization. So we'll do optimize Prisma by moving it to some global. Got anything for me, Copilot? Okay. So something like that. And then we will const repo await. All right, so this is the fun part, right? We already got the repo data, and we're gonna do it inside of our function now. So we'll get the repo data, and then we'll Prisma dot GhRepo dot upsert. I'm just thinking ahead, because all I want to do is select repo. How does this work? It's like the repo path. So if my full name equals data.fullname, duplicate identify repo, updated repo. I don't know if I'm doing this right. I'm not a big Prisma guy, so I'm sort of still getting good at this. So if anyone wants to offer suggestions, how do I upsert an element? I'm just not good at this. So where, and then the new data. Yeah, that makes sense. So maybe we need to make this a little smaller. Where full name equals full name, thank you, and the data is going to be the data. So data is let's just have that there. Full name, data, full name. This is just a mapping at this point. Description, data.description, star. It wanted to do it. Upserted isn't a word. Well, let's add it to our dictionary. And what does this say? Full name does not. Is that right? Or is upsert not? Can I do upserts? Anyone in Prisma land? Any good Prisma people here want to help me out? Let's see. Upsert. Maybe it's not supported by. If no database satisfies, it creates a new record. Yeah, that's it. Unknown word. Okay, sure. Maybe that's why. All right, now what to say? Only specify known props. Data does not exist. This is how it works, isn't it? Description, string or null. I see. So we do a little spread operator maybe. If data.description. Oof, this is a lot. All right. We will pass this guy in. Otherwise we will not. Come on, prettier. Why isn't this work? Very disappointing. Can I like prettier? All right, well, let's see. So is this wrong? Update create. Ah, that's why. Update. Interesting. Okay. So it wants both of these things. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to call this data to save. And we'll just data to save. And then create data to save. Ha. And get that working again. And then this function needs to end. Man, it really sucks that prettier doesn't work. All right. I keep repeating myself. We've upserted the repo. So that data now gets upserted. I guess we return it. What is the thing that gets returned? promised result. Yes. So we'll just add to it, right? So that's all that's gonna happen here. We can await it. If you guys didn't know, Astro lets us do awaiting, which is pretty cool. You can await like globally. Something built in. All this jazz. We can move up. So that's most of it. And let's see if that worked. So I gotta restart my dev server. Any questions while this is happening? We're just kind of stitching the pieces together here. You guys have been great so far. Oh no! What's happening? Oh yeah, okay. So all this data is not the same as it was. What I kind of want to do is const I want full name, description, stargazer count, URL. These are all being replaced. URL. So I get to use my naming convention, stargazer count. That should fix it. Oh. It's wrapping. So everything's the same. And then I forget the command. How to start up Prisma UI. Yeah. So studio. We can see GitHub repo, and we can see one called Lazy Git. Let's go. We did it. I wish I had an air horn sound. Okay, so there's something missing here, something important. Does anyone want to guess? So I said that I want to be able to only check it if it hasn't been checked in a certain amount of time. So we do need to add a date, right? Probably like last checked at kind of date. So we're just gonna add that. So we'll go back to Prisma and we will do a last checked date time, and let's require it, and I think the default can be now. So it's optional, which is fine with me. No, let's do that. Let's do this. I shouldn't have to add anything to the code, because I believe just rerunning it what's happening? All right, so that's that, and then this is 555. It should have just automatically added it. Do I have to like force it? Oh, let's go to the page, I guess. I can just delete. Oh, hold on. I forget all this. You got to do all this stuff. Migrate dev, add last updated. Right? Right? I guess we'll restart the server. I don't know if that part's necessary. But I didn't include the value. I would have expected it to be shown. So if that's not the case, is that what I do? Delete. Someone let me know if they know. I guess there's going to be a created at and an updated at. So how to add updated at and I thought this was built in. So that's what we'll do. Yeah, maybe, but I deleted the data and I added it back in, so I would have thought I do have to migrate again. I keep making changes. Change to updated at. This one should work. Wait, what? Without a default value. Yeah. That's right. So that's a bad record, right? Because it's a required field. So my migration is supposed to fail. And if we reload, we should see a updated at. I can restart this studio. Maybe you're right. Maybe because I changed things. Yeah, okay. Maybe it was a red herring. Updated at. So now we will just do a simple little piece of logic here, which looks like if the repo doesn't exist, we have to call this. And if it does exist and we haven't checked it in some time, then we would call it again. So that's the plan. Let's do it. And this keeps not working. So we'll do it manually. Data, get the data. Okay. So Prisma Studio doesn't know when you do a migration and it can't reevaluate the UI. I guess that makes sense. Can't do everything. So I just have to get it first, which we don't have a getter. Get cache repo string, and we're gonna repo Prisma find first where repo equals name. Yes. And I guess we'll just, I don't know if I need to wrap all these in functions. I think that all of the functions I've been writing are maybe a little bit unnecessary, but so I will do this. We're going to check for the cached repo. And if there's no cached repo, we're going to do that. Where's all the logic? Here. Add repo to cache. So if there's no cached repo, then we are going to add repo to cache. The fun part is like I don't know if I want to do functional programming here, but maybe I overwrite a value. So we're going to add repo to cache. And this is returned, so we want to be able to automatically, like 51 is doing it, right? But all these values are outside of. So this is where a function would be really useful. I want to be able to call one function on the parent and it always return full name, description, stargazer URL. So we're going to have some sort of, we're just going to do it like this. Maybe there's a better way to write this. I'm not really super used to Astro yet, but they seem to want you to be able to put everything up here in this header to handle all that you got to handle. So it's going to be one of those like const this GhRepo, and this is always going to return that. So it's going to be like async function GhRepo repo string, and we're going to do all of our logic in here. So instead of doing that, I'll just return it. Else we're going to add repo to cache. Else we are going to return. All right, so how do I get the cache repo? We do this. Else return. It's one of those things that if cached repo, we still want to deal with our date checker basically. So if cache repo or I have to start the LSP maybe. Okay, so what is this? Yeah, I know. Oh, hold on. Explain this. What do we decide? A week in. So that's what we did. 1,000 times 60 times 60 times 24 times 10. So we're just going to say a week. All right, this is good enough. I don't think I need to wrap this. If I really want to know what this is in the future, I can change it. So then that means all I have to do is get repo. I like it. And let's prettier. Oh, maybe that's why. Right. right, well that might be why. Sounds like the config file is, something's wrong with it. All right, so now let's try it. So this should mean console log don't refetch, because we're in here, and then we can say do refetch. All right, so now don't refetch, but our data is correct. So that means we did it all the right way. We did it, chat. I think that's it. And it's been an hour. So now the real test, the real test is, can I push this and will it work? So I already have migration set up with Prisma. I already have a GitHub token, like a personalized authorized token, whatever, saved to my deployment method. So let's get rid of the log here. And we can always, you know what? Chat, I don't know what you think, but I think that I could call this migration once. So I forget, how do I wipe a Prisma migration and start over? Delete the files, run a reset. We're just gonna see what happens here. All data will be lost. Yeah, that's fine. Could not find migrations. Did I mess it up? I think I did, chat. Well, fine. Let's get rid of these to-dos. Let's get rid of all these empty lines. Let's do our best to clean up some of the indentation for ourselves. Great. So I think I messed it up. Migrate. I don't really care about SQLite database. Sure, yes. Cannot find the migration. Please delete the directory or store again. Oh, right. So I think that in the Prisma folder, I can get rid of all of these guys, and I can reset these all back, and migrate. Sweet. So chat, if you were wondering why would you go through that much trouble, it felt silly to do so many migrations. I had to do like 4 migrations today. Why not just do it once, right? Once seems like a good enough idea. And we can see here, we're gonna create a unique index on the full name and the URL. Sure, why not? The extra index may not be a big deal, but we have all of our values that we expect. And so now, we can just say feature, add GhRepo to Prisma schema and check cache. And so now here's sort of the source of truth here, embed Astro component. And we will say closes number. All right, we're just gonna leave that alone. Creates a GitHub Astro component. Keeping it simple, we kind of want to move quickly through this for the sake of chat. We can watch it deploy. I don't know if it's going to show my auth token. It shouldn't, but let's just wait a minute and see. This was fun. I'm glad I came on. I'm gonna probably start doing this a lot more on Wednesday nights. So if your Wednesday nights are free, be on the lookout on YouTube and Twitch and all those places. We definitely can hang out for a little longer. If this works, then I can migrate, other repos that are in my blog posts. That would be very useful. I also haven't done any responsive design yet, so maybe we want to think about what it looks like on mobile. So we're not really done, but the pieces of it that I wanted to play around with are looking great. I may or may not make a blog post out of this. I think this was an interesting use case where we pulled from someone else's API and we cached the data with the local database, and that local database is used on deployment to create a statically generated route. So I'm just kind of curious to see how this all goes. Lazy Git. And so for those that don't know, this page is static. This is just an HTML page that is served to a CDN through Netlify. So by the time this page comes about, we're not going to actually run any of that functional logic that I wrote today. It only happens on build time. And so when it's rendered here, we get to see this. Very cool, right? And sure enough, we click on it, it goes to the right place. And I have other blog posts. Let's just kind of show as an example. So like me and Mark. So I took Mark's, the image from his repo and I put it in like that. So now I can just go back to his project and see I have how is this? Marks.files. Yeah, so this is a open graphed image and I'm linking to his project. So now if I want, let's kind of close all this out. I don't need Prisma Studio anymore. We'll have our lazy git. I gotta import the default. That was important, right? Mark. So now we can import it. We can just import it up here if we want. And then this becomes this. And that goes away. And it's not going to know who Mark is. That's okay. And if we close all this out and we go back, conversations with Mark, boom, it loads the element. Spacing looks good. Sweet. That's it. Just kind of rinse and repeat. Let's see, I can do it again with mine. I can show you guys how I've been using AI recently. That's been kind of cool. There's all sorts of ways you can do this stuff faster. Boom, Josh Medeski .files. And so all this shit, pardon my language, but all of this stuff is like LunarVim. LunarVim's a website. Kickstarter.nvim is one. So I can I can say the repo username repo from the string I provide you with GhRepo equals username repo. Let's see how well this works. Oh, it's so close. Angle brackets with perspectively. Nope. All right. Well, it doesn't want to do it. Bummer. There are other ways that I've done this before, but for now, it's pretty easy for us to just rinse and repeat. And harpoon. So we're just kind of rinse and repeat here. Although I could do a macro, so I can find so that would work. Harpoon, comp. Yes, okay, so we do probably want to add a little bit of margin below each one of these. So that will be the next thing, github.com/. So that one won't work. GitHub.com. These are all null ls files, dot files, uses. So this is going to be one of those things that I decide how much time I want to spend on it and how many of these items I want to deal with right now. So Nix would be a good one. So we can do that, and then GhRepo, we want to add like margin bottom 4 should be enough. And this is localhost. Yeah, so see, I was thinking maybe we hide it or align it differently. That's kind of up to me, isn't it? Inspect. Oh, margin bottom is not being honored. Maybe I will make these all blocks. That's probably it. Yeah. So anchor tags are inline blocks by default. So you have to tell it to be something else, right? All right. So that should be good enough. I gotta figure out how to get rid of those. All right. And we've updated our data. In fact, let's just studio. Okay, come on. Yo. One of my friends is here, Enrique. What's going on, man? So we just finished up. I can show you what we've been doing. We've been making this little thing. So this is an embedded GitHub repo in my markdown files. So like you can see here, you click on it and it gives you an external link to kickstart.mvim. And I put it in a few places in my site. We started here in the lazy git. And so boom, it shows up here at the top. And we store it in Prisma. I don't know why my Prisma Studio. I store it in a SQLite file. We see the Stargazer counts, descriptions. Okay, so look at that. Primogen's Harpoon plugin doesn't have a description. I could decide to give it a description if I wanted. Yeah, no description. Interesting. So I could put this in and save it. Anyway, so we know when we last updated it, so I've decided to check every week for like new Stargazer counts or whatever, and we do an upsert. And so I can keep stars kind of tracked over longer periods of time. And then my build times are going to be quick because the SQLite file is in version control. And so let's update some of the GitHub links. We can push it. And I don't know if your default or Ian, someone was talking about raycast. I have Netlify, which is kind of cool. So we can see the status of our project inside raycast, which is pretty sweet. So when this is done building, we'll be able to just test it and make sure that it's good. Oh boy, what happened here? Remove extra blocks. The fun of doing this live, it's so much different. But I have a good time with you guys. This is fun. Hey, what's going on? Sweet. We got someone on Twitch who's been watching my videos. I appreciate you. More coming for sure. This has been a fun one for sure today. I can go a bit longer. The plan was until 9. So the decision right now is, do we want to add like CSS animations? Do we want to go responsive? I'm kind of down to let chat help me decide, like, what should we do? What can we do with our time left? I also noticed like this is 34,823. Like we could condense it to like 37K like they do here, 37.8K. I've got plenty of space, so I'm not really as worried about that. Enrique's moving around. Nice, man. So one thing I thought of is like, I want to have a better uses page. Those that don't know uses. So this could be like a really simple one to start with. Because most of these things have a GitHub page. And for another stream, I can't do it all tonight, but in the future, I was thinking of a future stream of getting URLs, like ones that aren't GitHub. Like, let's talk about like, I don't know, like Craft. Craft is really great note-taking tool that I use. I was thinking of like pulling their open graph image and putting it into my repository as an image and save it. And then add entries to my Prisma as well for like URL embeds. And so this idea of a GitHub embed can definitely be applied to all sorts of things. We even talked about this, but like Brew has data. So like there could be a Brew embed. So these sort of ideas of embeds could be transferred in all sorts of ways, for sure. And so that would be exciting and interesting. And on my website right now, as it is, I definitely have to, I have to deal with images being better. Like Astro has a recently created image SDK or something, and so it can like transform images on build, and I probably need to do that because my Lighthouse score isn't very good because of my thumbnail images. I'm like rendering images that are too large. So that's definitely going to come up at some point soon. Akira, you like that idea? Sweet. So I think someone's asking, this is going to be recorded, so it'll be on YouTube, you know, post this. If you go to the live section, you'll see it. If you feel like recreating this evening with me, this was a good time for sure. It was kind of quiet in chat, but we had a couple good questions pop up. And let's see, I want to see this in all its glory. Boom. So this is, I know, kind of big, but yeah. See you later. I am super happy with this. It's not perfect. Maybe we do a quick little, I can definitely do a mobile fix. So the simplest thing I would do is we decide on a breakpoint. So probably small. Flex, actually, we all know mobile first, right? So flex call and then small flex row. I think it's flex row, yeah. So boom, and then at some point, it snaps. Now, for those that have been here the whole time, we used the gap CSS prop to kind of divide the icon from the content. And I used to use space Y, you know, let's just do 4. I used to use this. Oh, that's not gonna be right. Space X. So the spacing, it would create even spacing between elements on the x-axis. But then we do this and that spacing doesn't show up anymore. And it kind of messes everything up. And look, now there's this weird spacing here. So that's one reason I really like using Gap, even though it may not be every single person's browser that supports it right now. You can see that it creates space between these two elements automatically. We don't have to deal with any big problems there. I do realize that I may want to go smaller on a smaller screen. So let's just get this right. Let's just width 8, small width 12. And then we'll do gap 2, small gap 4. And then we'll do, I think the description should be leading none. If it's not leading none, it's definitely going to be leading less. Yeah, I think that's fine. And then the padding overall, we might do like P2, small P4. That seems nice. And now we don't really have as much to deal with. Maybe I'll do like text, small text. Is it medium? Can't remember. Yeah. So now the question is, do I want to deal with height or width? Creates a lot of white space here. But on the bigger screen, it seems to be just the right amount. I might as well go a little bit bigger with this. Unless, chat, you think it looks weird. Dude, let's go. Astro is pretty fun. We haven't done much with it aside from static markdown content, which is very cool. If you guys didn't notice, I have this, this is like a terminal command you need to run, and so you can hit this little copy button and it copies it. And then for larger chunks of code, like this is the file that you need, and you can copy the contents there. And so like it's all color coded and looking nice. And all of this spacing, the way that it's styled is just markdown. So I didn't have to do anything clever. There's no class names involved on the majority of this. And what I think is cool is now in the future, if I ever want to reference a GitHub repo, all I have to do, one, I do have to make sure it's imported. And maybe there's a way in the future that I can globally include the GhRepo. So like it doesn't have to be imported, it's just always available to me. That's something I would like to do, but we will see. I forget, do I have to do an HTML? I think I do. To do, make GhRepo always usable in all markdown files? Question mark. That would be cool. Yeah, I think there, okay, so someone's mentioning that there's probably a Vite. Ian, yeah. There's a Vite plugin. So there's probably some way of including, it's a really common pattern in like Markdown and MDX projects. But it's interesting that you would say, given the choice, you would start with Astro for everything. That's pretty bold. I love React. So if I'm building a proper application, I like React because I can use all the patterns that I'm used to, like routing patterns and libraries and components, and everything is all one language, one like meta framework. And so I probably would reach for Remix for most web apps. But if I'm dealing with something static, or I want to do like a playground, where I'm thinking of adding a search feature to my website, and in that case I could use like Svelte, or I do have a Preact component on my website right now for email signups. And so it can be cool to like experiment, but I think with that comes a lot of power, which kind of creates this, I would say it just kind of creates you can freeze like I am now. You can freeze when there's too many options. And so I'm a little bit hesitant. And also, as we've seen today, I don't think that the Astro experience in Vim, or NeoVim at least, is as good as React and all of the other kind of modern frameworks and languages like TypeScript. Like TypeScript is such a great language. This isn't TypeScript. This is its own weird thing that's like 2.5, 3 years old. So those are sort of a couple of the, I don't know, just things that I'd be mindful of for those that want to try to use an Astro site. But like website, yes. Web app, maybe for me in picking Astro. Oh, interesting. It does not like the comment. So how do I comment? Can I do that? This is fun though. Let's try this. I haven't shown you guys this yet. Astro Houston. If you guys have heard of Houston, he's a little assistant, and I can ask it, hey, how do you add code comments to an Astro component? And let's see if it knows. Houston is their little assistant. I don't know. Something out in an Astro component. Oh, I'm gonna be bummed if it doesn't know. Bummer. It's using GPT language it read all of the docs, and it's attempting to give you answers based off of what it knows about Astro's documentation. Anyway, it's a fun little project, but does not work. All right, well, for now, I will just not include it. And feature, improve, responsive design of GhRepo component. There we go. Yeah, so default is mentioning his defaults. React and Vite is a good choice, or Vite, sorry. I'm an English speaker, I always want to say Vite, but it's Vite. Yeah, so I use vtest a lot. I don't always reach for Vite for building, but I do use vtest almost all the time now for all different projects that need unit testing. So that's been really great. Got another good question. It's okay that it's unrelated. I do plan on making a setup video here soon. One of my first YouTube videos was like what is my dev workflow? And that one has gotten tens of thousands of watches, but it has changed quite a bit since that video originally came out. So that's, I'd love to do like a desk setup video. I just have to take the time and energy to make these videos. I'm kind of new to making videos still. I would consider myself a newbie at it, so it's just sort of a time-consuming process. But as we get into the end of my time here today, I'm gonna end early. I have some interviews coming up, so I have interviewed probably over half a dozen people now, talking with them about their Tmux setup and their NeoVim setup and their shell and like all of the different pieces of a terminal-based workflow. So I've had lots of really good conversations about all of that. And the next one is coming out this Friday. So be on the lookout for that. But there'll be many more to come. I just have to get through the footage and edit it out and, you know, put it together and all the things that I do to make these videos happen. So look out for that. And I will be streaming more. So this was a great little hour-and-a-half project. And so we will do more small projects like this to improve my website. And there are also some future app ideas I have, things I want to build. And so I'll probably build in public and do it with all of you. I think that would be a fun way to show you guys how I make bigger decisions, right? Because this is kind of like a simple static app kind of thing. But as you have to scale and we deal with a lot more complicated things, it can be fun to have those conversations and to do it in front of an audience, right? So we'll see how that goes. But until then, if you haven't already, please subscribe to me on Twitch if you're over there. Subscribe to me on YouTube if you are there. Hit that little bell icon if you're interested in knowing when my videos come out. It will kind of send you a notification. And there are some things I publish on my website, including a recently published dev workflow intro. So if you're brand new to the terminal-based like workflow environment, it's free. It doesn't require an email address. So just go to my website and hit the Get Started button, and you can. It's kind of macOS focused, although it can work in the other OSs. But if you want to learn about Homebrew, which is a package manager, and Tmux and NeoVim and LazyGit and all the different things that you saw me working with today, this is kind of my soft introduction in helping people get used to these tools and how they work. But that's it for now. I hope you guys have a great night, and I will see you next time.